Squirrels! So hello, and welcome to another Legends of Runeterra video. My name is Chris, and today we'll be going through some custom cards from the Custom LoR subreddit about Bandle City and Yordles, and seeing what people have come up with, so that me and you can potentially get an idea of what overall what might be coming, just a little sneak peek at the kind of things that we might expect. Obviously, we're not expecting anyone to get like one completely right. That would be crazy if someone did. And I'm kind of interested to know if anyone in the history of Custom LoR has ever got it like actually correct, or like, pretty close to what the actual champion does. That would be quite interesting if they have. But these are the things that I think I will be judging them on. And it's pretty much in this order as well. So the first one is unique, and I think that being unique for a champion is really important. And obviously that's going to get harder and harder as more champions get added into the game. It's going to be harder and harder to be unique, but being unique, I think, will be on pretty much the top of the devs list as well. You don't want a champion that does kind of the same exact things as other ones, even if they are within the same archetype. For instance, take Lurk, right? You've got Pyke and you've got Rek'Sai, who are the two Lurk champions, but they do different things for that deck. Pyke is sort of your main removal. Pyke will win you some games on its own. Rek'Sai is your main way of buffing all of your lurkers and keeping you from running out of steam. They both have their own sort of separate things, even though they are very much tied together. They are both doing their own separate thing within that deck, and both give you different ways of sort of achieving your goals with that deck. Now, some champions are sort of closer than perhaps Rek'Sai and Pyke are within their own thing. But I do think being unique and having the potential to be played, and having your sort of own thing be realized is quite important for all champions, and I think that that's what they want. Obviously, we've got thematic as well. Obviously, it doesn't make much sense in making a champion that doesn't fit sort of the themes of what you'd expect of, say, Bandle City, the region as a whole, or whatever, thematic. I'm sure we can all agree on that one. Coherent, what coherent means is basically, the champion makes sense. Champion, could be played, like it makes sense as a card within the game. It does something that is useful. It's not like, a joke. Like, sure, you can print like meme cards, like Bubble Bear, for instance, it's fine to print like a Bubble Bear as a follower, but you would never print that as a champion. Because the card needs to make sense. It needs to be somewhat viable, and to be viable, it needs to be coherent. Flexible is always something that's nice on champions. It's not something that we've seen on every champion, of course, but I think those that are the best designed are often ones that are flexible. I made a video about why Swain is like the best designed champion, and actually pretty much everyone agreed in the comments of that video, which I was shocked at. I thought, there would be at least some pushback, but no, everyone was like, yes, Swain is a really amazing designed champion. Which is great. And then of course balanced. Now balance is at the bottom of this list because I do think it obviously would be important for a card to be balanced, but of course the people who make these cards cannot test these cards. So whilst we might be able to look at some things and be like, well, that's obviously broken or not broken, it goes at the very bottom of this list where, sure, if something is like clearly like stupidly insanely broken or stupidly terrible and like it would never see play, I'll mark it down a bit for that. But if it falls within like even the realm of possibility that they might ever actually print the card as is, and remember, as Irelia was a deck, and they made Lee Sin 4 mana, so they make mistakes as well. Like, even if it's in the realm of possibility at any point, then I don't really care, because balance is not what is important when you're designing these custom cards, because I'm sure that the devs have started out with things that are completely broken. I'm sure that they had, starter versions of things that they were like, well, that's pretty broken. Because, finding the right balance takes time, and, they get a long time to sort of tweak these cards. And remember, we're looking at like the first look before, you ever got a chance to playtest these. So balance, not that important, but I will take it into a tiny consideration for some outliers. But yeah, let's dive in with our first couple of cards. So first up on the list we have Ziggs, a Ziggs design, and I think there's actually multiple of them. But let's go through it. So Ziggs, they put him in Piltover and Zorn, but I think we could probably expect it to either be dual region if that's going to be a thing, or Bandle City. But whatever. So Ziggs, 2 mana, 2/3. Each round, the first damaging spell you cast deals 2 more damage. Level up, you have dealt 15 plus spell damage. So this is an interesting ability. It kind of is a bit like Kegs, I guess. It's not exactly like Kegs, but it kind of is almost as if Ziggs gives you like extra Kegs. Now we've got him in Piltover and Zorn here, but even if he was meant to synergize with Piltover and Zorn, it obviously fits quite well with what that region wants to do. There's plenty of good things that you would want to do here. The wording is a bit sort of ambiguous, but I'm not going to mark them down for that because Riot's wording is often very ambiguous. As in, like, would a static shock deal 3 and 1 or 3 and 3? Would be my question, and I don't actually know. But either way, I like it. It's a good effect. It makes Ziggs a threat. He has a decent stat line. You've dealt 15 plus spell damage. This level up, I love. I think that this is like a level up condition that I could see 100% in the game. And I would not be shocked if it does enter the game in some way, shape, or form. It's very flexible, and that's why I love it. You could put this with really anything, and it would be amazing. And so I love the level up condition. Let's go to the second half of Ziggs. Each round, the first damaging spell you cast deals 2 more damage and cost 0. When you deal 5 plus spell damage, draw 1. So Ziggs here is obviously very powerful. Like any spell costing 0, really cool effect. I will say this effect is really, really cool. To the point where I actually think on a 2-mana champion, this line might be a bit overkill. Like, this might be pretty strong, but I don't think that this is like, so crazy that I'm actually going to mark this down in terms of balance. I do think that this would be really strong, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's like, stupid. So overall, I think, is this unique? I would say, like the kegs somewhat. In fact, let's actually pull up our thing. We can just keep it on the side, perhaps, here. It's sort of just, gosh darn. But we can keep it there for now, and I'll sort that out in a bit. But, with Ziggs here, is it unique? I would say pretty unique. It does fall into a bit of the keg territory, but that's not necessarily a terrible thing because there is some synergies there already with Piltover and Zorn and keg, so it could fit within that. So unique, I'll give it a tick. Thematic, I give it a tick. It's very much coherent. It's flexible. The balance, might be a bit overtuned, but not like crazy amount. So I would honestly say that this, like, as a design, is great design. Now, in terms of lore aspect, if someone is like going wrong in terms of like the lore of the champion, which I don't really expect them to do, because people on Custom LoR seem to be like, pretty with it in terms of what these champions do, like, lore-wise. So I'm not actually expecting them to be that bad in terms of that. But I don't know, so I'm not really going to rate them on that. But I think this is a great design. I'd give this like a 9 out of 10. This is a really cool design. I think that this, like, something like this could very easily be in the game, and I think people would quite like it. It's good. It's just, it fits like what the game is trying to do, I think, in a lot of ways. And if this was like the way that they got Bandle City and Piltover and Zorn to synergize together, I could absolutely see it. It would make total sense to me. And so yeah, I think that Ziggs, this is a very good design. Who did design this? Hold on, I should give shoutouts to whoever did this. This was Arcana August. Very, very good job with Ziggs. Okay, next up, another Ziggs. We've got our thing now, which looks a bit better, a bit smaller there for you all. Make sure that I'm not covering it up. Good, I'm not. Move that up a bit. Okay, on to the next one, and we've got another Ziggs. So let's see what this person's done. They've got for 1 mana 1/1. Attack, remove me from combat and deal 1 to my blocker and the enemy nexus. So essentially like a little thing that just keeps attacking you and then, like dealing damage to you but not dying itself. I've dealt 4 damage. When I level up, create a Mega Inferno Bomb in hand. Well, let's see what those are. So, boom, baby, boom. Remove me from combat and deal. Oh, so that's just the skill. Ziggs level 2, so let's see what this is. A 1-mana 2/2 with Overwhelm. Attack deal 1 to my blocker, and the enemy next is remove my blocker from combat. Ooh. Ooh. Quite interesting. And that gets a different skill, and you get a Mega Inferno Bomb, which is a 5-mana fast speed spell. Deal 3 to all enemy on front line and 5 to backline enemies and the enemy nexus. Destroy all enemy landmarks. You get an incredibly powerful spell here. And this is the champion spell, a 2-mana fast speed spell. For this round, when enemies summon a unit, deal 1 to it, shuffle a Ziggs into your deck. This is actually quite a cool little card. This I love as a card. So let's go through our sort of our checklist here. Is this unique? I think that this would be very unique. I think this is quite a cool little design. It definitely, yeah, it's definitely unique, I suppose. You know, a bit similar to like Crackshot Corsair, you could say, but I think it's within its own realm, and especially the level 2 is a bit different, so I would give it unique. Thematic, it seems to have hit that as well. It is coherent, particularly the change in the level 2 I like. Flexibility, Ziggs does have to deal 4 damage, which seems, you know, I mean, quite difficult, but it's not that bad, I don't think, because the thing that you get, the Mega Inferno Bomb, is absolutely crazy, and I don't think that they would ever make anything this good, because this would be absolutely insane for 5 mana. I don't think they would ever, this is like without the realms of possibility, so I am going to take a little tick down there in terms of the balance. Flexible also, you know, it's not the most flexible champion, but again, these aren't sort of the main things that I'm looking for. So I think overall I would give this like a 7.5 out of 10. I think it's also something that you could do is you could think of what, you know, what you would give each of these as we go through them and give them a little score perhaps. I would give this a 7.5 out of 10 overall. I think it's pretty good as a whole. The landmine in particular I really like. This seems like a really cool design idea, and I could see something like this existing. You know, you'd think of something like this against like a Zero Relia could have like, you know, big sort of implications for certain matchups, which I kind of like. I kind of hope that they do bring out this card because it would counter a Zero Relia pretty well. So yeah, I really do kind of like this card. This is something I kind of hope that they bring into the game. But on to the next. So this one, instead, not champion this time, just a follower, which is a 3-mana 2/3 shopkeeper in Bandle. Each round, the first time an enemy dies, create in hand a random spell whose cost is equal to the enemy that died. Ooh. See, now that would be a really interesting card. I like that it's understated. Obviously a very unique card. Shopkeeper, I really do like this card. This seems like incredible design. And it's a random spell as well, so sometimes you're going to get something good, sometimes not. This, honestly, is something that I could see in the game. You know, it kind of fits the whole kind of magical creation Bandle City type thing. It's definitely flexible, it's definitely coherent, it's unique, it's thematic, and, you know, it's pretty balanced. It might be a bit strong, but, like, it's not too far removed. I wouldn't definitely put it in sort of the realms of you know, possibility that they would print something like this. So this gets a big tick from me. This is like a 10. This is a great card. Whoever designed this, Iana Lawrence, this is incredible. This is a really cool design for a card, and the kind of thing that I wouldn't be shocked if one day you saw. You know, it's only once per round. It's random spells, so, you know, it's not really that big of a deal. It's only cost equal to the enemy that died, so if you're killing a lot of small units, then, you know, it's not really that good. But it could be played in a lot of different things. You know, it could be played in more control versions. It could be played in a lot of Ezreal stuff. So yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. On to the next. We have a Yodel Hexer, a Shadow Elves card. 3-mana 2/3. The first time an ally dies each round, summon an ephemeral copy of it. If it's attacking, summon an attacking ephemeral copy of it instead. A bit of ephemeral synergy for a Yordle. Wow, okay. That is quite interesting. It seems quite good, I guess. Um, it's definitely unique though. I've got to give it that. You know, I kind of like it. The Yodel Hexer kind of makes sense. Kind of has good themes with it. I like the art. I don't know where these people are finding their arts from, but it really is working. Like, you know, the art on these cards as well has been perfect. Don't know where they're getting it from, but whatever. It's definitely coherent. Obviously, the flexibility, it would be more in an ephemeral deck, but I think that's fine because it definitely is fitting within the kind of Shadow Isles kind of theme. In fact, this is just a kind of good card anyway. But it might not be too good. Actually, the more I think about it, this is kind of a really cool design as well. Now, there could be some problems. Like, there's probably some things that are not... There's probably some combos with this that are kind of like a bit toxic. I wouldn't be shocked if like there are things in here that are a bit sort of, you know, over the top. Like anything with like attacking things, does it then like do it again? You know what I mean? Like say you attack and like I can't think of any off the top of my head, but you know, if you let's say it's Misfortune, right? You attack with Misfortune, so you get the little thing, and then they kill Misfortune, you get a ephemeral copy. Do you get the second one as well? You know, do things like that go off twice? You know, there would be some questions with this card, but I think it's a cool design. I'd give this like an 8 out of 10. I think this is pretty good. It's something that I could see, you know, them trying out this kind of design. I wonder if they do ever look at these kind of things. So Green Angel X, pretty good design here. I'll give you an 8 out of 10. Okay, we have a Cled here, which is a 5 mana 3/2. We got him in Noxus, but you know, maybe that'll be Bandle C. Cled Challenger 3/2, 5 mana 3/2. When I've summon Skulls. Okay, so it summons something else. So if it dies, when you've slain 3 enemy units, summon it again. When I see Skull die and be summoned again. So let's see what Skull is first. So you got a 0 mana 2/4 with, is this can't attack and block? And tough even? Can't attack and tough. I take all damage directed to Cled. If Cled would die, kill me instead. When Cled attacks, grant him my power. If Cled is level up, grant me 1 health. There's a lot going on here. Let's see what's leveled up Cled is. 5 mana 4/2. When I've summoned Skull again, gets overwhelmed. If it dies when you slain 3 enemy units, summon it again. Attack, grant my allies overwhelm. Ooh, so very, very Noxian. I take all damage directed to Cled. So you challenge something. You challenge something big. You might not even kill it because Cled's only a 3/2. Oh, this is actually genius, isn't it? If Cled would die, kill me instead. I don't think you need this line of text. Oh, maybe. I think this line of text might be a bit much, to be honest. I think you just want to take all. I would probably make. If I was designing this card, I'd probably get rid of this line and make it just combat damage because I do feel like this is quite strong. But I do really like the idea. Also, when he attacks, you grant him his power. I don't think you need most of this, to be honest. I think, to be honest, you could just take the damage part and probably be fine. And then you need to slay 3 units. And then you summon him again. So, where would you put this? So is it unique? Absolutely, so unique. Thematic. Fits with Noxus pretty well. I kind of love it. Although Slain is obviously not really in Noxus, but it could be. Noxian has enough things, I think, and granting the overwhelm makes sense. Is it coherent? Now, this is something that I really need to think about, because what deck do you want to grant your allies overwhelm, but you're getting enough slays in? I guess it would be like Demacia and mid-range? I guess this is where you would put that, you know, and you use single combats and concerted strikes to kill units. You've got challenges, and then, you know, you hope to sort of overwhelm them. You know, maybe like even dragons or something, you know, like just Demacian sort of big mid-range, and giving them overwhelm would actually make sense. But I guess it is coherent enough. Flexible. I mean, it is just slaying things, which is pretty flexible. It does make some sense, I guess, but it's probably not the most flexible thing in the world. Is it balanced? I think they've gone a little over the top with some of this, but it's again, it's within the realms. So pretty cool design here. I'm gonna knock it down a bit for some of the things. That it is like granting the overwhelm, but having to slay enemy units is like a bit sort of tough. To get one where you want a board that you have overwhelmed, but then you also need to be slaying enemy units like that. That probably isn't like it's on the borderline of coherent. It probably isn't too flexible, I would have thought. So I'm probably gonna give this like a 7.5, 8. But I do really love the idea. The idea is pretty good. I think it's pretty good. So I'm gonna give it an 8. You're gonna get an 8. On to the next. Supernatural Glamour is a 4-mana slow speed spell in Bandle. For the rest of the game, if you only have Yordles in play, give them elusive this round. If an enemy Jinx is in play, disable this effect this round. I'm guessing that there's something in the lore that Jinx does it. It's inspired from lore. Okay, so I'm guessing Jinx can see through Yordle things. Like she doesn't think that they're people. She can see that they're Yordles. It does fit thematically wise. Let's see though. Is it unique? Yep, pretty much. It forces you down a certain path to only have Yordles in play, but I don't actually mind that. Is it thematic? I mean, you'd have to say pretty much yes. I see that. I see. So it's like, oh, Yordles, no one could tell that they're Yordles, so they get elusive, but Jinx can tell them. The only thing I think about this is it's fine, but I think they've lent in too heavily on I don't like, and I don't think that devs would like just randomly having this in. Like, yes, it fits with the lore. I get it. It fits with that. But I think having like this very specific counter for seemingly like no reason to people who aren't aware, like, to people new coming to the game, they'll be like, well, why does this card in particular stop this? And this will be, oh, it's to do with like the story. I think there's more coherent ways of sort of telling that story without necessarily having to resort to like this absolute hard counter to everything else. So yeah, I think that this bit of text I wouldn't personally think that they would put on it, but the rest is fine. So I'm probably gonna give this like I'm probably gonna be a bit harsh on this one and give it a 6. Just because I just don't like the idea of having like one like, oh, this card randomly counters it. It's just because, it just randomly counters that card. Just because. No, I'm sure there's plenty of things in the lore that you could be like, oh, well, these two champions, fought and this champion won, so therefore, you wouldn't therefore like put on that champion's card like, oh, if X other champion is in the game, then heal me. You wouldn't have that. So I'm gonna give this a 6. Now I'm a bit aware that we are running out of time here. We're getting up there in time, so I'm gonna make this my last two: a Rumble and then a Poppy. So let's see it. This one's a dual region, so let's see how they've done this. A 2-mana 2/2 with Bandle City and Piltover and Zone. Rumble, Augment. Each round, the first time you discard or toss cards, activate Augment. As in, give me the extra attack, and you've activated Augment 5+ times. Now, toss is a bit of an odd one. It doesn't necessarily fit, though. I wouldn't have thought that the Bandle City will have much toss in it, but yeah, toss is an odd one. Discard I could see, but toss is a bit odd. Let's see what the level up is. 2-mana 3/3, Augment, Overwhelm, Quick Attack. Each round, the first time you discard cards, activate Augment. So pretty simple design here on Rumble. Nothing crazy. It would be nice to have some more Augment cards in there, to be honest. It would be nice if that was the case. Could you make a discard Augment deck? I guess you could, right? This might make some sense. This actually might make some sense. I'm not sure about the toss part of it. That doesn't seem very thematic with the region, so I'm gonna get a bit of a knockdown for that. But is it unique? Yeah. Yeah, pretty unique. You know, this sort of augment enabler without necessarily, you know, being. Yeah, it's different enough from the rest of the augment package that I could see it. Thematic. Aside from the toss part, if this was just discard, I could see it, but the toss makes it a little weird. Is it coherent? Does make sense, because obviously if you're augmenting, you're creating cards, which means that you probably, you know, would be fine with discarding those cards as well. And also there's things like Poro Cannon which do both, which give you like created cards and discard. So it's definitely coherent, definitely makes a lot of sense. Flexible, obviously it's not the most flexible thing. You do have to be in augment, but then you could just play it for pure discard. You know, you're activating augment anyway. So that wouldn't be too bad. And is it balanced? I think this is a pretty well-balanced card, to be honest. I think 666 Raziel has, you know, gone for a, you know, something quite simple, which often you don't see with Custom LoR. You know, normally people will try and get as many things in there as you can. But I do like this, that it's, you know, somewhat just a bit more toned down. So I would say it's a pretty good. I'm going to knock it a bit for having toss on it, because I just don't think that makes much sense. So I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. I like this design. And if you didn't have toss on it, I would really like this design. And on to our last one, which is Poppy. Demacia, but we could see Bandle City probably. 3 mana 3/3 with tough. That would be pretty strong. When I attack, deal 1 to my blocker. If there is no blocker, deal 1 to the enemy nexus and give barrier to the weakest attacking ally who doesn't have barrier. Level up. I have given barrier to two allies, counting me 2 times. Don't quite understand the wording. I think it's just, you know, I have given barrier to 2 allies, I think is what they mean. Okay, let's go to the level 2. Oh, does Poppy change this much? 3 mana 3/4 with Overwhelm Tough. Round start. If you don't have the attack token, create a fleeting Keeper's Verdict in hand. When I attack, deal 1 to a blocker, blah, 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 blah. Is that the same? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the same. So deal 2 to an enemy unit. If it survives, recall it. It's slow speed, but still. Poppy Steadfast Presence. Fast. Given ally, I cannot be challenged this round. Create a Poppy in your deck. I mean, this would be quite an interesting card. I'm not sure it needs to be 3 mana, but it would be quite an interesting card. So let's go through. Is it this unique? I mean, yes, it's pretty unique. Is it thematic? I'm not sure that this is that thematic. Like, the dealing 1 to my blocker or the enemy nexus isn't a very Demacian thing. It could be a Bandle City thing. We'll see, I guess. But, you know, in Demacia, I wouldn't necessarily say that that's really what they're going for. Is it coherent? Well, there seems to be a lot going on, like this first part and then the barrier part, and you know, there's a lot there's a lot of different things going on here, so I don't fully think that this is super coherent. Is it flexible? You know, Poppy has to give things barrier, so, but that could go in a lot of different things, I suppose. And is it balanced? The Keeper's Verdict might be a bit good. You know, they basically have to open attack. And then even then, yeah, Keeper's Verdict might be a bit good. And I think there's a bit too much going on. This is kind of one of the reasons I liked the last one was, you know, it wasn't too complex. Whereas this one, it feels like, you know, they've gone with what's this character from League doing? And I feel like this is a trap that a lot of Custom LoR can sort of fall into, is this character does all these things in League. So let's just interpret all of these different things from League. Whereas really, I think, you know, most of the time you need to focus on like 1, maybe 2 things at most, and just, you know, stick to that and just make that the whole design of the champion in a card game, because this feels like it's just doing a bit too much. So unfortunately, this one is only going to get a 5 out of 10 for me, because it just doesn't feel that Demacian, and it's got a bit too much going on, and so 5 out of 10. But still, a pretty cool idea. In particular, the spell, I do like this as a card. I also like the art. And so that will be that. So, you know, those are all my ratings for these cards. There were more that I was going to go into, but, you know, the time, I've just noticed the time when I've been going and I've been speaking for ages. So I'm going to call it a day here. Thank you everyone for watching so much. I hope you have enjoyed this. We can maybe do this again. You know, there are others out there that I can look at as well. And you know, we could do this again. Let me know what you thought of these. You know, maybe put down what you would give these cards as your own ratings. You know, these different designs. You know, compare them to mine, whether you think I'm wrong about something or whatever. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will be back tomorrow with more Legends of Runeterra content, and I'll be streaming later today / maybe as you're watching this, or you know, maybe I've ended it and maybe it was before you're watching this, and if so, you know, get up earlier, come hang out on the stream. But but thank you so much for watching, and have a really nice day.